Former Australian captain and the second most capped Wallaby of all time, George Gregan, is backing the Springboks to beat England in Twickenham in London on Saturday. It's the World Cup champions' second and toughest match of their three-match tour in the United Kingdom. The scrumhalf, who has 139 test caps, was a Rugby World Cup winner in 1999. The 51-year-old Zambia-born Wallaby great joins SABC News reporter in London, Liezl Olivier, and shares his thoughts.
Rugby fever has gripped London, and especially with a whole host of South Africans here converging tonight, as they are converging around the city as we speak, in preparation for the Springboks test against England at Twickenham on Saturday. And we've got big rugby names in that pub right over there, but one of those names is the Wallaby legend, the Wallaby great George Gregan. And I see that you're actually partying with the South Africans, so...
Always. They're great company. Obviously, which I love about rugby. Rugby is one of those ones where when you're playing on the field, you're competing really, really hard. You want to get the result. Then off the field, there's a mutual respect, and that's what really does separate our game from, I think, other sports. And this one, the Wolfpack, Alistair Hargreaves, what a beautiful human being. Obviously did play for the Sharks, played for Sarries, played a number of test matches for the Boks, and this is his pub, and he brings everyone together. So Shimmy's here, John Smith's here, you've got Piercy. We've done this for the last few years, and rugby brings people together, and I'm happy to be the token Aussie here tonight.
Well, we accept you with open arms. I have to ask you though, do you miss being on the field and playing and test matches like these?
I don't miss being on the field. I actually love observing them and watching them. I've been lucky enough to do some commentary and be on the sides of the field to watch the Etzebeths of the world and well, gosh, Ches and Colby, the World Cup last year. Like it's incredible. And when you're in that environment and when you're right beside it, you go, I'm so happily retired. Everything gets faster, more physical. And it's evolved, so I'm happy to be a spectator, but I also appreciate how lucky I was to be inside the arena. I think that's one thing as a player. When you're playing, you don't realise how lucky you are to be inside the arena, and I appreciate all the times I did.
I think you played against Rassie, didn't you, back in the day? So Rassie has brought, I don't want to say a fresh element to the game, but a different element perhaps. He gets criticised a lot. He gets also praised a lot because obviously he's getting the results. What is your take on Springbok rugby at the moment?
My take on Springbok rugby and my take on, Rassie's always in the headlines, but Rassie's a very intelligent human being. He was a very intelligent player. He was on his laptop well before everyone else was on their laptop. He was probably getting data points and getting all the information that allows you to hopefully improve and get better. Ultimately it comes down to what you do on the day, and that's the thing which you can't control. But I can see why he's become one of the world's best coaches in team sport, not just rugby, but in team sport. And that's not lost on me. And I think that needs to be called out because he's a fantastic coach and he brings the best out of his players. But he's always asking them to, how can we improve? And I like that because he's looking to improve. So, what's the next horizon? And that's pretty inspiring. So, from my perspective, has that changed from when he played? No, he was kind of that player. I remember he in Swanepoel, like I'm giving you a real boring little version of it. They ran this play which was sort of like a counter to our play. And I remember him calling it out at times as well. I'm saying, you know what? This guy is really good. He's done his homework, and it doesn't surprise me. And I love the fact that he's also brought in someone like Tony Brown, who's a fantastic coach as well. Coached in Japan, obviously a former All Black, played for the All Blacks. Coaching in a way which is going to actually expand how South Africa play in preparation, not just for the here and now, but for the next sort of World Cup campaign. It's intelligent, and it doesn't surprise me at all.
I was going to ask you about the effect of Tony Brown on the back line and where he's going with this, especially in terms of the next World Cup, as we're going to try for a fifth, perhaps. But Rassie is very... Absolutely. Well, I don't think he'll be there. Rassie's state of mind is he won't be there if he doesn't know or believe that the team can do it. I want to ask you, he's very good at balancing experience with new blood, fresh blood, and I want you to comment on what you think of the future of South African rugby, the young talent that is coming through at the moment.
Well, the future's extremely bright. I remember a young Mr. Moody playing here against the All Blacks when they did a great job before the World Cup started. And you go, well, but that just didn't happen. They've been nurturing and they've been developing that young man for a number of years, that he was on the radar. I know there's a lot more players like that in South Africa on the radar that Rassie and South African rugby have identified, and there'll be even more so now with someone like Tony Brown, who, as I said, he's probably there's an expansive element to their game, and I think I think of like LaRue, like he loves that sort of football. He can see the space, but then you got to know your strength, you got to know your identity, and I think Rassie's been very good for the South African rugby team and the Springboks in terms of, okay, that's your identity and let's play to it, but how do we grow it and make us even more dangerous? And I think that's what Tony Brown's brought to this team.
Who do you think is going to win on Saturday? Do you want to...
I think South Africa will win. I think it'll be tight because this English team probably should have won the last two test matches. It could be 2-0, and everyone's saying, oh, if they close out those games, they're 100%. So there's a bit to play for at Twickenham. It's always a special place. It's hard to play at Twickenham, but knowing this Springbok team and the young players they're developing as well, and the balance and the experience, they'll thrive. These are the sort of games I think quality teams and World Championship teams want to play in. But I think the Boks will get this by a narrow margin because they'll be pushed. But I think they'll be just too good probably in that final quarter.
The final quarter is the difference, and that's been the difference for England as well. Just very quickly, in terms of Wallaby rugby, how are you feeling about that?
No, it was good. The final quarter was good the last week for the Wallabies, but they've got to crack on and continue. That's what being a better team, a good team, and then becoming a great team. You've actually got to close out those moments, which was really pleasing. They got a moment to win the game and they found a way to win. It's very hard to score 30-plus points at Twickenham, and it's very hard to then come away with those points and with a victory, and that's what the Wallabies did. But it means nothing. You've got to go back and repeat, rinse and repeat, do it against Wales, and then give themselves an opportunity. The Grand Slam's still alive. I heard Joe Smith saying that, which is great, but it's a week-to-week proposition. It sounds like a cliche, but it really is, and that's the discipline, and that's what great teams do. They have a discipline about, okay, that was good, let's learn from it, and let's get better this following week, and that's what the Wallabies have ahead of them.
Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for chatting to SABC News, George. Really appreciate your insights. And yes, you are backing the right team. We are proud of you. Well, that's it. As the party continues in London, Wallaby great, the legendary scrum half, George Gregan, chatting to us here in London. We're going to go back inside now, where the party continues, ahead of the big test match, the Springboks versus England, Saturday at Twickenham.